Namaskar. At the outset, I would like to pay my humble tributes to LAL Bahadur Shastri ji on this day, which also marked a very important day in our lives as children in Banaras. Our father was also in the hospital at that time, and when we got this news early in the morning through a phone call, it really jolted us because we were awaiting the news from our father, but we got this news which really broke us. So for me, it's very vividly etched in my mind. I thank the LAL Bahadur Shastri Memorial Trust for having invited me today to give the 27th memorial talk. I understand that before me, a galaxy of distinguished persons have delivered the talk on this very day over the years. I find myself totally humbled and to remember this great man today and to be able to talk about Gandhiji and Shastriji and their enduring legacies, which according to me are very similar. I convey my respectful pranams to Anil Shastriji, to Mrs. Shastriji, to all the family members of Shastriji, the faculty of the Management Institute, everybody who has joined here, the technical support team, as well as the administration, and everyone who are here today on this solemn occasion. There are some astounding similarities between Mahatma Gandhi and Shastriji, other than the fact that both of them were born on the same day, that is on 2nd October, though 35 years apart. Shastriji was steeped in the Gandhian values of peace and non-violence. And both were leaders of the masses and understood people's aspirations and needs. I'm happy to inform you that I was born in Mahatma Gandhi's ashram in Sevagram, that is in Wardha in Maharashtra. That was the last ashram established by Gandhiji. And my father, who was inspired by Gandhiji from his childhood, was very keenly observing Gandhiji. He participated in the freedom struggle, was jailed many times. And after his education in Banaras Hindu University, he joined the Sevagram ashram along with my mother. So even after Gandhiji passed on in 1948, my parents and all of us have continued to follow the walk on the path shown by Gandhiji, doing Gandhi Karya. So from the very beginning, we have been part of the Sarvodaya, Gramdan and Bhudan movements, and we have dedicated our lives to the constructive programs to realize the vision of Gram Swaraj of Mahatma Gandhi. Other thing that I have been doing lately is to inspire the new generation to understand and seek inspiration from the enduring legacies, from the transformational leadership of Mahatma Gandhi. According to my understanding, Mahatma Gandhi's and Shastriji's lives were an epic of faith and endeavor. Gandhiji's faith was in truth, the ultimate reality of truth, and he endeavored to attain it through non-violence till the very end, till the last breath. Perhaps the greatest source of his strength was in his faith in God. That was truth, the deepest and the most complete form of God. The faith gave him the constant awareness that he had to be nothing but an instrument in God's hands. He had to go wherever He led him. The guidance of God was available to him on the path that had been already walked on by the various teachers and sages and seers of the world. So he had to walk on that path, enlightened by truth that was available in whatever measures and forms. And secondly, he had to constantly gaze inwards to find inspiration. That he did by constant questioning and listening to the inner voice. One question that has been asked in our Indian civilization is, Ko aham, who am I? What am I? And what is the purpose of my life? The answer came to Gandhiji when he listened to his inner voice, that the real purpose of his life was to serve others. The deeper the faith, the greater was the endeavor for Mahatma Gandhi. He said, truth is God, Satya hi Parmeshwar. Faith in truth led Mahatma Gandhi to two other realizations. If God is omnipresent, truth is omnipresent too. That means in each one of us, there is an element of truthfulness present. There is an element of godliness present. And we are all capable of doing good to each other, to everybody. The second realization was that in spite of all the upheavals faced by humanity, humankind will always proceed in an auspicious direction, because truth, that is God, is only interested in the welfare of its creation. The life and thoughts of Mahatma Gandhi are intertwined and inseparable. His politics was imbued with his spiritual experiments, and his spirituality was tempered by his vision of a face-to-face non-violent society. And his constructive activities or constructive programs were integral to his politics. All his experiments in aswada or control of the palate, fasting or upavasa, maun or silence, spinning or katai, prarthana or prayer, gave him the internal strength. And these were also part of his political program as much as of his spiritual life. These practices and ideals were nurtured by the inmates of the ashrams, the ashram community that he had established, who adopted it, modified it, and validated these practices and continue to do so even till today. That shows the relevance of his practices. Gandhiji's ashrams had a mingling of political and spiritual aims. It was a practical laboratory for transforming ordinary men and women into great satyagrahis, for offering the highest sacrifice of their lives in the freedom struggle, as well as get involved in the constructive programs to serve the common person, to restore their dignity and self-respect. These were the places where he experimented with Sarvodaya, the welfare of all, for Swavalamban, self-reliance, cleanliness, Swachhata, and Seva, service of others, for Gram Swaraj. So this is how I started my life journey, and I want to just share an anecdote about our family friend, Sir Horace Alexander, who lived in Gandhiji's ashrams in Ahmedabad and Sevagram, he noticed that the bell used to ring 56 times during the day. So he said, and I quote, Gandhi had wonderful courtesy and punctuality. I was to learn quickly that he was the slave of watch. He had more to do in 24 hours than almost any other man. So he had learned how to pack the most into every minute. Yet he never gave the impression of being hurried and impatient. So one lesson that one needs to learn from him is about punctuality. And this is, of course, there are so many lessons, but today the talk is not on Gandhiji's leadership. So I want to say that Gandhiji's resonance and impact is felt across the world. Many world leaders have been inspired by him and continue to do so even till today. In all the countries, people have great respect and reverence for him. Many have been inspired to take up the cudgels against injustice through non-violence. Others are following his environmental credo, and still others are impressed with his simple spiritual life. The humanism of the world leaders, their thoughts is so deeply reflected in Mahatma Gandhi's teachings. The new generation is eager to understand more about this great man of the last century who made such a huge impact on many world leaders. And one such world leader was LAL Bahadur Shastri ji. So since I traveled also during the 150th birth anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi to many countries, and as Anil ji said, we met both of them in Tashkent. But I remember in Sweden I met Greta Thunberg, who had organized the climate strike. And somehow I made my way through 10,000 students who were very organized and very peacefully standing there. And they had the placards and slogans in their hands. And when I went up to Greta, when I told her that I have come from India, she said yes, she knows, and she is totally inspired by Mahatma Gandhi's environmental credo and for peaceful demonstration. Just like that, I've heard that Gayat Matar, an ordinary tailor from Syria, read Gandhiji's autobiography, and he was so influenced that he promoted peace and brotherhood in the conflict zone. He was known as the Little Gandhi internationally. In Palestine, Mahatma Gandhi is a very revered figure because they respect and honor him for his doctrine of non-violence and his approach in achieving freedom for India. Many of the families have named their children as Gandhi. In Lebanon, I heard that Mayor Sami al-Bekai of Ibn el-Saki village was a teacher before he became the mayor, and he used to teach about Mahatma Gandhi to children. In his village, Ibn el-Saki village, he has made it a model of peace and non-violence. And in Afghanistan, and this, of course, was during my online talk. I came to talk to people, and actually this is the first time that after the lockdown, I have come here and I'm talking to all of you face to face, and it seems now very, very strange to me to do that. We have become so used to doing virtual things. So for me, it's a great occasion. And really, in Afghanistan, I saw that they had painted murals of Gandhiji and the messages of peace, which were destroyed many, many times, but they kept on doing it, and it is available there. So these are the things that I would like to remember when I remember the influence that Gandhiji had on Lal Bahadur Shastri ji. His life is an absorbing saga of a man who, while suffering the severities of life, rose to political eminence on the strength of his moral and ethical principles. His integrity and authenticity shone throughout his life. He was a personification of Gandhian simplicity and an epitome of secular values, upholding and exemplifying the wisdom of all faiths. So, I have also read many books on Shastriji, but perhaps don't have the time today to tell you what really impressed me. But how much time do I have now? About 15, 20 minutes? 10-15 minutes. So as he grew up from 1917 to 1921, Gandhiji had already come to India after spending about 20 years in South Africa. And he had, after 1 year's gap, when he toured the entire country in the third class compartment, understood the problems of India and came face to face with all the hardships that people were facing. In 1921, he launched the Asahayog Andolan. And that is the time when he came to Banaras also. And in his public meeting, he told people the reason about launching the Asahayog Andolan and why it was important for people to participate in it. At that time, he spoke to the students and he said it was very important to leave the government-aided and government-controlled institutions regardless of the consequences, and they should also just understand that now what they need to do is a matter of historical importance. It was their Yuga Dharma to participate in the freedom movement because Mother India needs all of them. So he said, do not fail her, and just join the national movement. And from here onwards, Gandhiji's influence can be seen on Shastriji's young mind and how he developed his personality. He had, of course, attended the meeting as a student along with his friends, and he listened with great attention and reflected deeply on every word that Gandhiji had said about the plight of India and the duty of Indians to join the battle of freedom. So he made up his mind and informed his family about his decision that he was going on this new course of action, that as a volunteer and as a soldier in the battle for freedom. That also set into motion the constant inner evolution and transformation, and he started preparing for the service of the country. So he understood that the first and essential dharma was to instill in himself an unbound love for his motherland. That meant that he had to develop an invincible moral character and be prepared to sacrifice for the country's cause. Of course, that added one more characteristic to his many qualities that he already possessed, and that was of sacrificing for the motherland. From here onwards, he participated in the Asahayog Andolan. He took part in picketing and demonstrations and faced imprisonment. He was also, afterwards, he joined the Gandhi Ashram founded by Acharya J.B. Kripalani ji in Banaras and started assisting him in propagation of Khadi. And he also participated in the national education in the evening. In my school days, I remember very well that we used to go to the Gandhi Ashram and participate and volunteer in many activities. Kripalani ji was a close family friend and mentor, and later on many occasions he visited our home at the Gandhi Peace Foundation where Jayaprakash Narayan ji used to stay with us. So when the Kashi Vidyapeeth was inaugurated and Shastriji was present in the inauguration, he was the first one to join the Kashi Vidyapeeth and complete his Shastri degree. I recall our close association with Shastriji's classmate, Professor Rajaram Shastriji, who was a very good family friend of ours, and he was deeply involved in the work of the Gandhian Institute of studies and the Sarva Seva Sangh. Actually, due to his insistence, my mother completed her masters from Kashi Vidyapith. Lal Bahadur Shastri ji himself had visited the Sarva Seva Sangh in Banaras, where Jayaprakash Narayan ji used to stay many times. So, in everything that Shastri ji did from then onwards, the imprint of Mahatma Gandhi ji was seen. And one thing which really caught my attention was that he accepted and implemented Gandhiji's concept of aparigraha, non-possession. Gandhiji had said to acquire nothing which is not essential for life itself is non-possession, and he was of course practicing that. Shastriji understood that non-acquisition led to a way to overcome covetousness, and it was absolutely essential for people who wanted to face the rough and tumble of everyday political life. He went one step further and also was very determined to eliminate the slightest weakness in his mental makeup or character. He had a deep concern for others. His life, which was already very, very simple and ethical, acquired one more trait, and that is of aswada, or control of palate. Since I have this very interesting and very wonderful connection with both of them, that is Gandhiji and Shastriji, I must tell you that in the Sevagram ashram, especially Ekadasha Vrata, about which people do not have much information, which is Gandhiji's gift to humanity, were followed in the ashram community, and that was for spiritual progress, discipline, self-restraint, and character building. Aswada was one of the most important Ekadasha Vrata, and especially I remember as a child that we used to grow the food and prepare it in the ashram, and that helped to practice aswada, or control of the palate and all the senses, and was intended only to provide sustenance for keeping the body and soul together. And then on, Shastriji got involved in the welfare of the marginalized people. He lived with them and continued with the programs for the welfare of children and women, and of course the literacy programs for adults. And Gandhiji had started 18 constructive programs in the Sevagram ashram, and that had become the training ground. And this is how people got involved in going to the grassroots and also helping people to participate in the national freedom movements. After that, during that national freedom movement, Shastriji was imprisoned many times. And of course, his career in politics had also begun at that time. Both of them contributed tremendously to development and shaping of our nation. So, like Gandhiji, Shastriji had a determined spirit, and with his continuous effort, he transformed himself. All of us have the potential to change, and through self-transformation, every human being can be a leader, has the potential to be a leader and serve humanity. Such persons, through their endeavors, earn other people's respect, get them to love them, and to sacrifice for them. And this is what we see in the lives of both these great persons. Their enduring legacies in their work and life, many people know about it, but what I want to just briefly touch about is their traits that emerge when we try to understand their spiritual legacies, from which one can learn and imbibe to excel in one's chosen field. Firstly, they were very firmly established in knowledge and in wisdom. And that knowledge was such that they turned it into wisdom. They were firmly established in it, they lived it, and through their lives, they communicated it. Another thing that we see, that both of them developed and acted on their intellect. All of us are blessed with two faculties. One is mind and the other is the intellect. When one acts according to the mind, we get swayed by emotions and more often than not take wrong decisions because emotions sway our decisions. But when the intellect is functioning and when it is charged and absolutely thinking, then you start thinking logically and critically, and that's when one can take the correct decision. So in case of both these great sons of India, their intellect was sharp and functioning at all times because it gets dissipated during the day. So they sharpened it by way of questioning, listening to the inner voice, silence, and prayers. There are many, many such incidences which I could have gone on to tell, but that is reserved for Gandhi Katha. Third thing that I see, that both of them did not crave any position. Position is conferred to persons whose first and foremost consideration is to be of service to humanity. So both of them worked selflessly without aspiring for position, wealth, or fame. Gandhiji used to have morning and evening prayers in the ashram. In the first shloka in the ashram was Natvaham kamaye rajyam, na swargam na punarbhavam, kamaye dukkhataptanam praninam artinashanam. I do not crave for rajya, nor do I want swarga or moksha. I merely want to alleviate the suffering of others. So, other thing was that they had an impeccable character above reproach. In their lives, we see shining examples of their integrity and honesty. Both of them did not have any self-interest and were truly dedicated to the welfare of people. Both of them were committed to selfless actions. And there are 3 types of actions about which Lord Krishna talks in the Bhagavad Gita in chapter 3rd. And that is Niyatam Karma, which are obligatory duties, Kamya Karma, which are desire-driven duties, and Nishiddha Karma, which are prohibited duties. So a leader is one who does what he ought to do, whether he likes it or not. And in these context, in their lives, we see that they did their obligatory duties without wavering from their path. They were also driven by a higher vision or a larger interest and not just self-interest in the spirit of sacrifice or yajna. So, as Gandhiji had implored people to be honest, ethical, lead a simple life and serve the people in the spirit of sacrifice, so did Shastriji, who led his life according to the thoughts that were and the conduct and the life that Gandhiji lived. And then I also want to tell you that both of them felt absolute oneness with everyone. And this oneness is something which people do not understand very quickly. One cannot comprehend that we are actually one family. Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. We are all brothers and sisters. And this is the reason why Gandhiji had no enemies. He did not want to take any revenge from anybody. He did not have to settle any scores. He didn't want to defeat anybody. He only wanted to extend his courtesy and love. And this is the respect and courtesy and consideration that Shastriji also expressed when he looked at people with soothing kindness and benevolence. These are the expressions of unusually deep magnanimity, and it was seen very clearly in Shastriji's conduct. What they had was sattva, or the tranquility of mind, serenity, calmness, which comes from freedom from desire. This comes when one is dedicated to a higher cause beyond oneself. So when the mind is calm and when you're not thinking about yourself, the perfection that is within you manifests. And in their lives, we see that their lives are very simple, very frugal, a very spiritual life of transparency, openness, cheerfulness, remaining positive throughout, under all circumstances, and this is all was the result of sattva. They were also they were also the examples of objectivity. They played fair. It is seen in their lives because they did not have any favoritism. They did not show any favoritism, preferences, or they were fair and just to everyone. So when we talk about these two great peoples, we must remember that one thing, and the last one, which is very, very important in their lives, was they walked the talk. Mahatma Gandhi called himself a practical idealist. From his childhood, if he liked something, he read something, or he heard or saw something, he immediately started practicing on it. And that's exactly what Shastriji also did. So the effort should begin from the point where one is standing. That is what Gandhiji did. There was no option of waiting at all. So that is why Gandhiji's idealist actions became practical, and he was, of course, a very busy man. But the effort of putting ideas and beliefs into practice, more than anything else, was the driving force in his life. He had said, an ounce of practice is worth more than tons of preaching. And this is something that we see in Shastriji's life also. Both of them did what they said, and therefore they walked the talk. As Lord Krishna tells Arjuna in chapter 3, Yad yad acharati shreshtas tat tat evetaro jana sa evam pramanam kurute lokas tat anuvartate. Whatever standard the leader set, that is what other people follow, and not what he speaks. So these are the standards set by them. These are the spiritual legacies of both these great people, and this is something which I wanted to talk about today. And with this, I take the opportunity to express my grateful thanks to the Lal Bahadur Shastri Memorial Trust, to Anil Shastriji especially, and Mrs. Shastriji for having invited me here, and to all of you, all the dignitaries, everyone who is present here today, despite the masks and the whatever precautions we have to take. I'm very, very thankful to you, and I'm also thankful to everybody who has joined me online today and has taken part in today's proceedings and listened to my talk. Thank you very much. Namaskar.